All right, folks, we are going to go over your vocabulary for semester 2, week 2. Week 1 of the semester will not have any vocabulary, and week 2 will have these words, and these can be found on the vocabulary section of the website. And this is just a video to sort of share with you what those words are and what they mean, because I know that if I just type in the words, you will copy them into your notebook and never think about them again. And that's not what we want. We want you to learn these words. So this week we are starting a marketing and advertising unit, and I want you to be aware of what these words mean so that when we talk about advertising and marketing and all of the things that we do to make people aware that we have a show going on and that we want them to come, then you'll know what these words are. So first of all, and this is just a continuation of last year's words because we don't want you to forget last year's words. So this is going to be number 51. We did 50 words last semester, and we'll do about 50 words this semester. So number 51 is royalties, and royalties are money that you pay to do a show, and that's pretty simply put. I could put it more complicated, and I am going to explain a little more. Specifically, this money pays for permission to do the show, and it can also pay for scripts and shipping and all these other things that you sometimes need in order to get the rights to a show. But royalties really just mean money that you pay in order to have permission to do the show. If a show is made in the last 50 or 60 or even 100 years, depending on the playwright, it can cost a lot of money to do. Some of them are very cheap. Some of them are $30, $35. Some of them are $100. Some of them are $200. And then you get into shows that are $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and even more than that to produce. So depending on the show, it can be very expensive. All right, moving on. So what you're buying is the rights to the show. So the rights are basically permission to do the show, and they are basically rented to you by a company. So they're rented to you by a company like MTI, which is Musical Theater International. Spelling is tricky. Or TRW, which is what they own, Addams Family, which is Theatrical Rights Worldwide. So if you decide you want to do a play, you have to make sure it is available to be performed and that you can get permission to perform it. You can't just say, well, we're going to do Aladdin in 2 weeks. I hope people come. So because certain shows like Aladdin and like Newsies Jr. are not available right now to be performed, and that can be for a variety of reasons, and we'll get into that later. All right, if a show is in the public domain, which is our next word, you don't have to buy rights to perform it. And that just means that a show is so old that you don't need permission from the author to perform the show. There are very few musicals that fall into this category because plays are much older than musicals. So if you're doing Shakespeare or an adaptation of Charles Dickens, that's things like A Christmas Carol, or if you're doing Jane Austen, that's works like Pride and Prejudice, which are kind of comedies, very polite comedies. Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, Jane Austen, those are all authors. Those are authors who have works in the public domain. So therefore, if a work is in the public domain, you don't have to pay to perform it. You don't have to pay for rights to it. All right, so the next two items have to do with our advertising materials, and usually your Broadway posters and most play posters really are done on 11.5 by 8.5. times 2, 17. 11 and a half by 17 or 11 by 17. We'll just say 11 by 17. That's less confusing. 11 by 17 paper. So that's 11 inches wide at the top and then 17 inches long, or larger, but usually at least that large. So a poster is usually done, and I'm just going to back up so you have full definition here. So a Broadway or play poster is normally designed on 11 by 17 paper or larger, and it's normally in portrait. And in portrait simply means that the paper is long and skinny rather than short and wide. And we have some posters in the classroom that I can show you. Let me see if I can walk you around. I can't actually see myself in this camera, so I don't know how well we'll be able to see, but we can look around. So these posters, like the one behind me, that White Christmas poster, and also the Wicked poster. As you can see, those are in portrait. And then I have an Addams Family poster over here that is in landscape. And you really want to design your poster in portrait rather than in landscape when we do our design, our marketing and design and advertising unit next week. So portrait versus landscape. Portrait just means it's like this. And I'm sorry. Wow, that was confusing, unnecessarily confusing. Portrait means it's like this, and landscape means it's like this. Okay. All right. And then lastly, your playwright. Your playwright is just the author of the play. Right. And it does have a W in the middle, which is totally weird, isn't it? But they're using write, like W-R-I-G-H-T means to create something. So playwright, yes, you are writing it, W-R-I-T-E, but you're not only writing it, you're also designing it and creating it and envisioning it. So all of that together is W-R-I-G-H-T. It's a weird word. Playwright has a W in it, and is spelled as you see on your screen. All right, so those are your vocabulary words. Please put those into your notebook. Those will be for week 2 of semester 2. And I will see you when I see you. Have a great day. Bye.